This is the February the 10th. It's the Jamaica Selectboard meeting for that date. And the order of business to start with is to call for any late additions to the agenda. Does anyone have one?
Just the update on the town hall.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me get my updated pen up. I have, sadly, I have three things that have come up. As you know, I publish the minutes, the agenda on Thursday, and then we have a Friday and a Saturday for mail and other things, and so sometimes it gets full. We also have a guest. Lou is going to talk about a letter I got today.
He's not a guest.
He's kind of, you're really not a guest. We'll talk about that. And we're going to add him to that.
That's the Rawson monument.
Exactly.
I have some stuff from the Transportation Committee.
Okay. Which, is this the county transportation, right? This is the original?
Yeah.
So I ran into somebody over the weekend, he gave a name of a committee that you're on, that didn't sound like the one
I'm on two committees.
what's the other one?
Community Development
Maybe.
as well, and I'm also on the Emergency Response Committee.
Oh, that might have been one. I don't remember. Anyway, he said your name. You got that right, but I didn't recognize the committee. Okay. This is for the Wyndham Regional Transportation Committee, right?
Correct.
Okay. We've had 3 overweight permits have come in, and we have 2 liquor licenses we have to discuss. So they've been added to what looked like a pretty quiet night.
Yeah.
So the next order of business is the usual minutes. Any other additions? Julie? Any other additions? No? We're good. The minutes for January 27th. Have any corrections, deletions, additions, comments?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Okay, further discussion? I have some. There's a number 2, where it says, Greg made a motion to accept the minutes as written. I believe there were minutes as amended.
Yes.
If we could change that to minutes as amended by Andy. And other than that, they're really classy work that we've come to expect from our illustrious scribe. So, could we amend the motion?
I amend the motion to approve the minutes as amended.
A second.
Have a second?
Second.
Second, good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes of the 27th as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, they are accepted. And thank you, Sarah. Next item of business is the usual timesheets for town office, Worcester Highway Transfer Station. We have them here. Sign the select board orders. They will be put to the end of the session, as is our usual. What I think I'm going to do is I want to review and update the town winter operations policy. I'll tell you a little bit about why we thought that we'd do that now, but since we have other people standing by who might be bored by that, perhaps we'll set that a little bit later. And let's start with Lou. Regarding the Rawson, you got the same letter I got, right?
Right.
Okay.
Paul received a letter from Steve Rawson, as did I, because I was doing some research into it from the listener's perspective. And what's on top is just his email to us, just so you can see it. And then the second page is the beginnings of a drafted letter that I was going to send. One of the things we want to decide was that should that response come from me or should that response come from Paul? We can decide that as a group. Just to refresh your mind, that little triangle or that little square of land up there that has the Rawson monument on it was deeded as a quitclaim deed to B.D. Bradford D. Rawson. And then I found out today, I did a little bit more research on it, in 1918, it was then deeded from B. Bradford Rawson to the Rawson descendants. Now, what does that mean? I have no clue. Terry and I did a little research, and we found out that that little parcel was never put onto the grand list. However, it's on the grand list, as I think I might have told you before, on a parcel of land that Suzanne Rice now owns. And in the deed, in her deed, it says, it says we can, hold on, her parcel is described as containing 13.5 square rods, excepting a smart parcel, which has sometimes since been conveyed to B.B. Rawson. So it's kind of peculiar that a quitclaim deed was actually never considered to be a separate parcel, but was considered to be like an interior parcel for another piece of land. It's kind of peculiar, but it seems to be the way we've been handling it on the grand list since 1915. But anyways, that's the history of the parcel. I then did some further research to look to see if the Rawson descendants had ever deeded it to the town or to any other entity, and I couldn't see any other deed that has transpired since then. So the best research I've been able to do is to determine that it's owned by the entity called the Rawson descendants. So, anyways.
Then are they liable for paying income?
Well, the taxes have been paid for by Susan Rice,
Okay.
at least during the last year. They've been paid for by the people who own that property,
Good trying.
that little triangle.
So, back in July, and Lou mentioned this to me before the meeting, back in July, Mr. Rawson came in and talked to us about the potential of the town mowing, maintaining that piece of land.
Right.
And I looked through the notes, and I saw when he came in, I looked through the minutes, but I couldn't find any minutes. But I thought we followed up and said, yes, we were gonna maintain that. I thought we had done that, but I couldn't find nothing in minutes after that.
Okay.
But I remember, and I thought Amadens were doing it, I thought Dean Case was doing that.
I believe that's the case. That was my understanding as
Yeah,
well.
and I thought we had communicated it to him.
Yeah.
I don't either, but I looked through, I didn't, but something in my head said that it had come back, we couldn't determine or something, so we just decided to go ahead and it wasn't gonna be that much of an increase in the total contract for mowing for the town, so we decided to just do it and throw it in.
Well, this originally came up before that, when he was asking us to take over.
Yeah,
And that seemed reasonable since we all thought it was our property.
yeah.
But now researching it, and we did mow it, at least once I mowed
I
it.
think we did, yeah.
And then we started looking at it. And now it turns out, not us.
Well, the reason it happened to come before was because there was a property transfer deeding that property from Wilbur Rice to Suzanne Rice. And that's when I picked up on that and began doing some more research beyond what you people do.
So we're a little bit more clear in that we're pretty clear it's not ours.
I think so.
But we're not totally clear who it belongs to. It seems to belong to Susan, who's Susan Rice, right? Who is allowing the descendants of Rawson to use it.
Except that it's a quitclaim deed.
No, you got a point.
And usually a quitclaim deed means that you quit your responsibility and passed it on to,
The other people, and
The other people.
we don't have that.
but it's never been recorded as a parcel on our grand list.
At any rate, so we've been talking about this. It seems you're gonna, well, we got a draft letter. It
Now, if you
seems,
want, I can do some research from a lawyer's perspective and talk to a lawyer and see what the lawyer thinks.
here's the thing I'm thinking. This is, at this point, a discussion between the Rawsons and the Rices, not the town of Jamaica. In that there's never been any evidence to show that it belonged to us.
Right.
You know, we were mowing it because it seemed like a good idea, we're nice people, and we've got over that. But it would seem to be worked out between those two parties. For us to become involved only muddies the water even more so. So my inclination would be to explain to him, the only thing we know for sure is that it's not ours. And it looks like it's something that between the descendants of Rawson and the owner of that triangle, which is Susan Rice, and that needs to be worked out between those two parties, not adding a third party just to complicate matters. Does that sound right to you guys?
That
Yeah.
sounds pretty reasonable. to
Yeah,
me.
sounds good.
Yeah.
We're clearly not trying to get out and mowing it, but the truth of the matter is there's also liability issues and lots of things
Oh, yeah.
that this could eventually turn into an issue. So I think that's the direction I go if we're along those lines.
So Beck, I mean, without, maybe I'm just not digesting all of this. So originally, does Steve?
It was Steve Rawson who came in.
Right, I remember that. But in this recent email, do they want it from Susan?
If I had my understanding.
Or does that
they
not
would
matter?
like-
I mean, that's obviously their thing, but I
They were
mean,
looking to see if it was ever deeded over to the town.
okay. So they're just trying to clean it all up. I was wondering what the purpose, why it came up.
So out of that, are they saying, we want it in our name, or we want you to have
They
it
never said
now?
one way or the other, they only wanted to clarify.
They just want to clarify.
They're asking, if you read the top lines, has there been any further discovery? So they're asking, did you guys find anything else out? So I guess we report back that, yeah, you guys own the land,
Yeah.
or Susan owns the land, so you guys fight it out or whatever.
So
And if
it
they
sounds
want to,
like we prefer the response to come from me as a lister, as opposed to Paul as the.
Either one, whichever you guys think.
It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I think it makes, he addressed you, or he addressed both of you.
I think the lister, because if we don't own it, then why should we be
correct,
involved?
I agree with you.
Right,
There is that stand back just a little bit in that you, as a lister, have much more input on what's going on with the property lines and that sort of stuff. And we would take your word for it.
Okay, would you like me to suggest that they may want to come to the town with a request to turn it over to the town? Or would you like me to just keep that out of the letter?
I think
I'd
that
say
should
keep
be
it out
neutral
So you-
and not really do that.
I'd say
And
keep it
let
out right now.
them-
yeah.
Keep it out, okay.
If they want to do that, they can.
And let them
bring it, yeah.
initiate it.
They
Let
can
them
come
come
to
to
town,
us,
exactly.
which I'd be totally open to, but let them
Yeah.
propose what they want to do.
I would go on that. I think the idea there is that now that we know that we aren't owners, that we should extricate ourselves
Yeah,
as best we can.
absolutely.
Okay, that's what I came here for, is to find out how you want me to handle it.
There you go. And then
Perfect.
you'll have
Do we
to talk
need
about
a,
the-
do we need a motion or any of that kind of stuff?
No, I don't think so. This is just information.
It's just part of a course of routine.
Yeah. Just no. What's the second part of it? What? I
Oh.
didn't read that yet. There's 2 pages of
The
it.
second was just my beginnings of a response.
Okay, all right.
Just
So we'll talk about it.
Right, but I wanted to know what to include beyond that regarding
I got you.
mowing or regarding,
Have you seen, when he said he sent in the book and page of the deed that they had, have you seen that?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it's all we're covering. Yeah, I think it's just information, make sure everybody's on the same page, and we'll turn the reins over to you and the listeners.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thank you, sir. Anything else you'd like for us? You want to just hang around for the fun of it?
Nope.
Been there, done that.
Good night.
Thanks, Lou.
Thank you.
The next human we have sitting here, just, let's do your transportation thing next.
Okay, 2 quicks and 1 almost quick. First thing is that there's a 220 Downtown Transportation Fund grant. I'll read you the overview. Is available approximately $375,000 to help municipalities make a variety of transportation-related capital improvements within serving the downtown district and supporting economic development as allowed by 24 VSA . The maximum annual grant is $100,000. Projects may include but are not limited to streetscape improvements, bike and pedestrian improvements, safety enhancements, rail or bus facilities, utility relocation, wayfinding signage, street lighting, and ADA access improvements. Application deadline is March 9th. So I'll leave this with you.
Do you think we could, we talked about the radar. Would they think they'd go for that? It's a safety thing.
Yeah.
Like getting the radar sign was about $5,000 or I think it was
And there is
$6,000.
something about a downtown village designation, which I believe we have.
I think we
Okay.
will.
We do.
have that
Let
already.
me look into that and see.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll get this. The guys contacted me back regarding that a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, wait a minute. we're talking about budgeting now, but I said it's probably not gonna happen.
It's money, but it's a 50% match, but you can do in kind to match.
Okay.
The other, just very quickly, there's the 2020 Vermont Walk Bike Summit, Creating Healthy Communities, and that's on May 9th in Bristol. The main topic is bridge number 32. We just got done with this year's prioritization of bridge projects. We are still number 2 on the list. And I also spoke to Laura Stone up at V-Trans. We are on the budget. We're now in design and engineering.
Wow.
And don't get too excited. 2024.
Okay.
Budget
2024?
for 2024, I said, could that move up at all? She said, no, but it could move the other way
Of course.
to about 2025. So there's a bridge in there somewhere. Also, we have the bridge on Depot Street, which is lo and behold still on the list at number 2 in the candidate list. So the candidate list is a list of projects of which there are hundreds. But it's a list of projects that will move up into the project list when other projects are finished. So I know the first day I met Chris Campany, we were at Veda's house, and he walked out and looked at that bridge and said, that bridge is going to go one day. I really would like to see it replaced. So having been hit by 4 houses. So we've managed to keep it prioritized at number 2, and hopefully it'll get on the list once we get the bridge to the park.
Have you been given the same advice I was? I know when they were telling us about that being number 2 on the candidate list, that they don't necessarily pull things off in sequential order.
Correct.
But when they get around to adding people to the other list, they go through other kinds of machinations.
It's number 2 for the region on the candidate list. We have ranked 10 items of this list, and this list is just the region. I can leave this with you if you want to see it. But the fact that it's still there, they're still aware of it. They're not going to do 2 bridges in the same year. So
Maybe even the
it's
same decade.
maybe the same decade. It's pretty far down the road. But I'm enthusiastic about the fact that the Jamaica State Park Bridge is moving into some kind of life of its own.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I know
Joe.
when they came down to do the measurements a couple of weeks ago, they called us and let us know.
So yeah, I knew they were here.
They're moving.
Okay.
Well, it's in the phase called scoping.
Yeah. Measuring, looking at it. Thank you.
Good.
Okay, next item. We have another human involved with just paperwork. So would you be a human involved with telling us about the town hall?
Okay, town hall. Actually, the ceiling has been completed.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
And it is really very, very nice. They did even extra things that were painted. They did out in the hallway entrance of painting. And I would swear that the plaster was white. It is not white. It is a very, very light green, which has always been the color. But when the plaster fell, he showed me the plaster, and that's what it's painted again. So we're still following the requirements of the preservation people. And they just did an outstanding job, cleaned up beautifully. So I'm very happy
No, what
about
was the
that.
name of the company that did that? Outstanding
That's
job?
the BMW, I think it
BMW.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just want to get that on the.
And, yeah, so, even though we had our challenges now and then, it turned out wonderful.
Excellent,
Okay.
thank you for honchoing that. That kept you busy.
Yeah, well, there's more.
Oh, good.
Um,
Good or bad?
Well,
Just
as
more.
you know, we have been having problems with water freezing
Right.
in the bathroom. And Stuart Barker has completed that. and has gone under and taped and wired and so forth. So that should be in very good shape. In the process, he did tell me that he found a whole apparatus, I guess, for hot water that has all of the plugs and all ready to go, but no plug to put it in. So he asked me if we thought that that might be a good idea, and I went ahead and said, yes, I think that's an excellent idea. So he will be fixing that. Everything is there.
What were we doing that water before?
Was it like a hot water heater?
Hot water
Like an
heater.
electric hot water?
Yeah, it's been, I gather, buried, not literally buried, but, you know, under that whole
There never
area.
was hot water.
We've never had hot water.
I thought we did have
I
hot
thought we did
water
too, but I don't know.
at one
I don't
time.
know that.
But
Interesting.
he says it's just kind of lying there in the dirt and would be a
Are
good
we certain
idea.
it's functional? That would be
Yeah.
my concern, that it would be old and that someone disconnected it at some point because
I
it stopped working maybe.
think he would tell us that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's pretty responsible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he would. So, there's that, and I think since I'm going to be leaving the board, I think other than the window, that still needs to be replaced. I think I've done a lot on that building, because during my tenure, I got the new well put in and all of that, so I think the whole building is in pretty good shape.
The town hall will miss you.
Yes. Thank you, Judy.
So I wanted to report that.
Excellent.
We're still working on it. And thanks.
It's done a lot. It's done a lot of twists and turns. Thank you, ma'am.
Liquor license.
We've got 2 liquor licenses, and then we've got some overweight permits. The liquor licenses are Muleman's and,
You signed it.
oh, come on, there's a name in here someplace, isn't there?
Rawson Market.
Oh, there it is, Rawson Marketplace. Sorry about that. We all have to sign all of these sheets on here. There's places for all of us to sign. Obviously, we only have, we're down to 4, and I don't think it's appropriate for, Craig, you can sign if you want to. We'll get
I'll
it.
abstain from
I don't
handing
think you
my
should.
own.
I
I've
think
already
you should
signed
probably
it.
should put-
I already signed it.
Yeah, well, we
Oh, yeah.
have,
We've got a quorum.
you have quorum.
Shouldn't be a
It's
problem.
the 3 of us.
Clearly, as far as I am concerned, the checks are here, the paperwork's here. We've not come across my desk a single negative comment about either of them, either the Rawsonville Marketplace or the Muleman's Crafts. And therefore, I know of no reason to say no.
Okay.
Do we need a motion on
I
that?
think we probably do, don't we?
Make a motion to pass the 2 liquor licenses, for one for Rawsonville Market, one for Elman's
And I'll
Craft
second.
Brews.
Okay, do I have any further discussion?
Someone needs to second it.
That she
I
did.
did.
Oh, you did not
Yeah.
second it, yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion
I'll
carries.
abstain.
And one abstention. I'm gonna put them with the invoices for when we start circulating these things later. Everybody gets to sign those. The next thing I have is I have 3 overweight permits. One is from the Lind Well Drilling, other one's from Valley Cranes and Renault Brothers, and the other one's from Barrett Trucking. All of the paperwork is correct. They have their checks, actually receipts for the checks are on here. The paperwork has been scanned and seen by our road commissioner, and so she knows I was gonna bring it in tonight. And so, does anyone have any reason to, time out? Just notice something. Make sure this is correct. Oh, I see, I beg your pardon, we have 4. The
Oh.
Valley Cranes and the Renault Brothers, they came in together. I just saw your note for 2 permits. I thought the 2 permits meant these 2, but there's actually 2 in this one. So, yeah, so the Valley Crane and the Renault Brothers came in, the receipts for $20, so it covers them both, and the paperwork is for both. So they're looking good, everything's okay with it. And Lexa, I told Lexa, she knows about it from this morning. We will, the usual plan is to pass these to the town road commissioner and have her sign these and move them forward. Any objections to that? Do we need a motion to send these forward?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any further discussions? Hearing none. The Barrett Trucking Company, Valley Cranes, Renault Brothers, and the Lindwell Drilling Inc. overweight permits will be turned over to the,
You gonna vote?
yeah, vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we're gonna turn, I'll pass it, okay, well, I'll give these up to Alexa tomorrow, and we'll get those things moving forward as well. All right. Okay, so now here's the question that came up about the town winter operations policy. We started reviewing that because we've got a chronic issue on Pikesville Road that I was addressing, and we wanted to make sure we had everything as tight as we could be. We started looking it over. There's a couple of little glitches in the operation policy that needed some updating. One of which, of course, was we now have two. On the page 2, we have 2. You guys got all these things, right? I mailed them out to you, I think.
Yeah.
Email?
Yeah.
All right, so we need to change. We got 2 350s instead of just one. And the Simplicity riding snow blower is really a John Deere, not a Simplicity. And then there's some just one, just a grammar error in the page under procedure. The line says, "Our highway crew are given the responsibility to make decisions regarding." That would be correct in England, but in the United States, we would say our highway crew is given responsibility. And then down in the last paragraph, following storm events, continued maintenance will include improvement of road services by clearing packed snow, pushing back snow on the road shoulders, removing excess snow piles with the village, and opening thawing cold. So it should be within the village. So on the new one, we just need to make that within.
And packed with an ED, right? Clearing packed.
Did I miss it? Or does it say
Just
packed?
above that, same paragraph.
Is this the
Oh.
same thing?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Because I read this and this is very wordy.
Oh, this is the one that she just sent you. This is the corrected version, right?
I don't
Well, that's
know.
basically the same thing. We just made it off 10 years. What do you mean by wordy?
There are just things that ought not to be in here that just continue.
Can you give me an example?
Now, let's see. During here's a better word of see, there may be a reduction or no winter maintenance between the hours.
Where are you doing this now?
The first one
First one,
goes on, let's see, over here. Drivers should adhere in order to accommodate safety winter driving.
Can you help me get here to where you are?
Yeah, I don't know because of the big type that I had.
No.
It's just,
She was, the first line she was looking at was the limited maintenance between 10 PM and 4 AM.
yeah.
And is
you're
that
finding
really the case? I
Where's
mean,
that? Help me.
it's in under general, the first paragraph under general.
Oh, right. Yes.
So what is it,
I
what's the
mean,
concern there?
is it just, we're not, I mean, I don't know. I was
It
up
says
at
there
4
may
today, there was
be
no
reduced.
one had plowed the
There may
roads at
be
4:30
reduced.
this morning when I left my house.
It depends an awful lot on the storm of the day. If these guys come in at 5 o'clock, by 10 o'clock at night, they're not gonna be out there. We're gonna have a reduced, we only got 4 guys.
Yeah.
And sometimes we only have 3 trucks. We had another breakdown over the weekend. So I think this is a fatigue factor. These guys need, and a traffic around here after 10 PM is fairly light. Perhaps on the way in on snow and on the way out on Sunday, and Fridays and Sundays maybe, but normally 10 o'clock to 4 is not a real high traffic zone around here. As someone who spends too much time at 3 o'clock in the morning directing traffic, it's not really that busy. So I didn't see that as a problem. What do you guys think?
I think it's reasonable.
I think it's
And
reasonable.
it says there may be reduced, I mean, that just
Yes.
gives an opening,
Obviously.
so to speak. I mean, if
Sure.
it's necessary, they'll be out there.
Obviously, if it's a 20-foot snowstorm, they're gonna be out.
Exactly. If it's
Yeah.
really dangerous, it's gonna be out there. I think so.
And the town, and the state's gonna be doing the main road
State's
anyway.
doing 30 anyhow. They're up to being kind of, it's just the back roads. Did you have another question, Judy?
Yeah, on prioritization. During a storm event, priority will be given as follows. And it would be better to say would be given to the following. Ba, 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 ba. And it's, a lot of it is the language that really needs to be looked at. But if you guys don't see it that way,
So I guess the question is, are these in order of priority, or are all of these for a priority? So that's,
I
mean,
read it the way that it's the order. We do
That's
class
what I
2, we
feel.
do class
Yeah.
3,
yeah,
and then
that's how I read it.
we don't maintain highways and private driveways or private roads. Priority will be given intersections and curves. See, so it's kind of, the first two I think is like prioritizing this sort of general after that.
here's a sentence. In general, snow will be plowed and sand will be applied during a storm to keep roads open to traffic and to provide an operable roadway surface. And it can be shortened to do, in general, snow will be plowed and sanded during a storm to keep roads open. Period.
What's the following storm?
I can't, my pages.
It's in
I
the
think-
procedures,
Yeah.
this third, second.
I agree, it is a little wordy, but
It is very wordy.
I mean,
It's still getting-
what we could do, it's under, Paul, it's under, second paragraph under procedure.
Under
Yes.
procedures,
Second
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Snow will be plowed and sand will be applied during the storm. See, I'd start out with commas. That's what I fix it. She and
Of
I
course.
discuss commas a lot when I write.
I mean, you could say in general, snow will be plowed and sand will be
Yeah,
applied.
it
I don't know,
just-
I think it works.
It's
I mean,
very wordy.
it is wordy, but
For continuous storms, and that for extended storms, I have repeated.
for extended, that is better than continuous, you're right.
Yes.
Continuous is not the right word.
Right.
Extended storms is the right word.
And it's just the way to keep, the towns keep a stockpile of sand, of 4 cubic yards of sand I have. And here it's put in, it's just that it is extremely wordy. But if that doesn't bother the rest of the group, then that's,
Unless we want to rewrite the whole thing.
yeah.
I don't know
When
who wants to spend the time to do
continuous,
that.
I don't think extended, I think storm after storm after storm. And we get storms that continue as opposed to one storm that's extended. That's how I read it. Let's
Okay.
face it, it's a real kind of
Semantics, it would be semantics.
yes, we're certainly,
So in general, without referring back to the previous version of this, the overall change, other than these grammar things, have been the list of equipment? Have
Yes.
there been other changes to this? I don't recall.
there have not been, that I'm
Okay.
aware of. No, I was talking to Keith about this and it seems to be working okay for him.
Okay. I was thinking that there was something that came up that wasn't addressed in here,
Well,
but if
what-
that's not the case, that's
No,
awesome.
how this came about is we've had, some of our plow people have been plowing, the private plow people have been plowing snow onto the sidewalks and into the road and leaving fairly significant berms in the roadway. Pikes Falls is the one that comes to mind, because that's the one I drive by all the time. And I was putting a letter together to the owner, and we decided to just make sure everything was tight before I wrote the letter. And while I was doing that, they cleared the road. It was there from the 18th of January until last week, but as soon as I got the letter written, got the research, berm was gone.
Perfect.
Yeah, well, let's see if it was just pure dumb luck, or if we're getting a message. It is against the law in the state of Vermont, for those of you who are keeping track of such things, to plow or blow snow onto a sidewalk or onto a traveled roadway. Understanding that's difficult, if you have to do it, at least don't leave snow in the traveled roadway. It's a traffic hazard, it's a safety hazard,
Yeah.
and it can hurt people, and we're not interested in hurting people. So anyhow, so that letter didn't go out, so it's sitting on my desk, just waiting for another date. Which I hope I never have to say. But anyway, that's what this is. So let's decide if we want to make some changes on this, we should do it now, otherwise we'll implement it as it sits.
make a motion to implement it as it sits, I think it's fine.
I'll second, with the revisions to the equipment list and the other
Yeah.
Right.
grammar items that were.
Thanks.
Okay, and I'll give these to you, Sarah, tomorrow, and then you can see what we're talking about.
Does that need to be posted on the website? Is it posted on the website?
I don't know the answer. Do we have it on our website?
I could put it on the, if you send me a copy of the updated copy, I'll put it up there.
That's a good idea.
Just to have it on there, yeah, and whatever.
Put everything on the
People can download it and look at it in full text.
Yep.
And see all our bad grammar.
Excellent. Do I have a second?
He seconded, I firsted
Any
it.
further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
I have one opposed and 3 ayes, or 2 ayes.
3.
Yeah, you get the vote.
You get the vote.
Yeah. I only vote when there's ties and there's not a tie. Okay, so we'll do that then.
Okay.
Excellent. The only other thing I have is time for public concerns. Our resident public is already concerned. Do you have anything else?
Is it for today?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. I have a second. Any further discussion? You have something to say?
Going for the record.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned at 7:36.